How we going, guys? Welcome to a live Hoggs vlog because we're starting the IPL. It's just starting today. Been waiting for it for a long time. It's Mumbai Indians against RCB. RCB, they've probably been one of those teams that have under-delivered throughout the history of the IPL. They've had quality lineups, but just haven't got over the line. And the Mumbai Indians, led by Rowett Sharma, have been sensational, and they are going into this tournament favourites today. Now, just before we get into the punchlines, I just want to say g'day to everyone that's joining me. There was Bill Gates there. Hey, Billy. Thanks very much for joining me. Hope the tech life's going well there, mate. Baram Arani, Kalyan Kapkam, how are you? Abe Aditya Negaraj and Vishnu Jayanti. Who else is joining me? Surab Parate and Aditya Nasail. Now, you guys are first on, but let's get into the preview for this first game out Chennai between the Mumbai Indians and RCB. Taking on RCB today, and it's the people or the team that has under-delivered against the team that has probably over-delivered as well. So let's get to the first talking point. My predicted 11 for Mumbai Indians going in tonight's game. Let's get it up, the team list up there now. Well, Rowett Sharma is obviously going to captain. Now, I've got Chris Lynn in there opening the batting just in case the cock is not available. Now, the thing is with the cock, he's come on a private jet. And they're thinking that he might be able to take the field tonight, and hopefully that happens. Now, the reason why I've got Lynn opening the batting instead of de Kock, if de Kock can't play, is I want Ishan Kishan to stay out number 4. Lynn's only going to play the one game, then de Kock comes in. So you don't want to muck up that middle order. You want them getting into their roles straight away. Surya Kumar Yadav out 3, Kishan out 4, Pollard, Pandya, Hardik and Cronell. That middle order is so potent, and that's where they won the tournament last year with their power hitting out the end. And I'm going to have Coulter-Nile coming in, Chawla and Bolt and Boomerang. Now, Chahal might play as well, the right arm leg spinner. Rahul Chahar. So they might go in with 2 leg spinners on this Chennai wicket as well, and he'll probably come in and go instead of Nathan Coulter-Nile, and they only go with 3 overseas players, so watch out for that. The predicted 11 of Bangalore. Now, this is a big one here. Can we get the team up? It's pretty hard to pick. Padikkal will open the batting with Veracoli. I like that. AB de Villiers, Maxwell and Dan Christian in the middle order just to give them a little bit of big hitting power. And Azharuddin, yes, we've also known that he made a fantastic 100 in a T20 tournament in India just earlier this year. So he will get the gloves as well behind the stumps. Washington Sundar, Saini, Siraj, Jamieson and Chahal. Jamieson in for Kane Richardson. Richardson's not there at the moment. But don't be surprised if they play Shabazz Ahmed in their 11 as well for either Siraj or Saini. The reason being they're out Chennai, it might be a turning wicket, and Mumbai Indians on big turning wickets aren't quite as powerful because they can't hit through the line. Now, let's get into the big points. RCB versus spin in the middle overs. This is where they get let down. Veracoli and AB de Villiers through those middle overs take up the majority of the balls, but they don't rotate the strike. Now, Veracoli, wonderful player. We all know what he does, but the T20 format has changed. You've got to be more attacking in those middle overs. And if we look at team structures throughout the IPL, the different team structures, they're looking at getting specific players to play in those middle over roles to attack the spinners. And this is where Glenn Maxwell is going to have a big impact. Glenn Maxwell is being brought in this team for his middle over impact. That's where he does most of his damage against the spinners. Now, me bowling to Glenn Maxwell, I've had a tough time of it with him because he's just so hard to bowl to. He's got the reverse sweep, he's got the conventional sweeps, but he's also prepared to hit down the ground. But the only thing with Maxwell in this team is I've got a couple of stats here, if I can get them up. Maxwell against Rowett Sharma, played him twice, only got a strike rate of 105. Charla, he's got a strike rate of 150, but got him out 3 times. And Pandya, Kiranel Pandya, only got a strike rate of 75. So Maxwell impact against Mumbai Indians tonight will be a game-deciding contest between those particular bowlers. Anyway, let's get to the next point before we get to the questions. Pollard and Pandya out the death. Now, we're down there at Chennai. Hopefully for RCB, they'll get these two particular players in before that big death over onslaught happens at the end, and they're able to get their spinners to bowl to them early. Now, Chahal against Pandya, Hardik Pandya, has had a good record against him. Only got a strike rate of just over 100 against him, but Pollard absolutely dominates spin and also pace in those death overs. But with Hardik Pandya, someone like Saini and Jamieson can't give him any room. They've got to bowl stump height into his ribs, just the top of middle and leg stump. Can't give him any room. That's where his weakness is. Don't try and bowl too many Yorkers because he gets right back and he's able to power there. Just that good length and vary your pace as well. We saw that against England, and we're in Chennai as well where the wicket does slow up. And that can be the same for Pollard down there in Chennai as well. He likes the ball coming on. The Chennai wicket generally is a lot slower and harder to pick up with the slower balls. So with Pollard, you can still probably hit that good length with the change of pace as well. That's going to be the big issue for RCB. If they can control that death over period against Mumbai Indians, RCB will win this game. Okay, let's go to the next point. This is a big one. Rowett Sharma versus Veracoli. Now, there's a lot of chat out there between these two. Who should captain India in the T20 circuit? Now, Rowett Sharma against Veracoli, captaining in IPL, has got a 70% win advantage over Veracoli between the two of them. And that is a big talking point going forward. And sometimes when you've got those little issues, it could play on the mindset of, hang on, Shubs. Shubs just rocked up. That's my little guy who helps behind the scenes. Welcome, Shubs. Thanks very much for getting online. So, introduction to Shubs. But sometimes that can play on the minds of players out there. So, Virat Kohli might just have a little bit of an issue with that winning advantage that Rohit Sharma has, because he'll want to make sure he rectifies that to consolidate any discussion about him losing that captaincy to Rohit Sharma in the T20 series. So that plays a big part. Virat Kohli trying to overcompensate and make more decisions, worried about winning against Rohit Sharma. So that's a big advantage to Mumbai Indians. It's only a small thing, but it's a big thing in the scheme of things, because that's where Virat Kohli might get a bit anxious in those tough moments out in the middle because of the pressure of the Rohit Sharma advantage. Okay, let's move on to the next one. The questions. Have we got the first question up? Now, I have had a little bit of an issue. I've been travelling around Western Australia and I have lost my other pair of glasses, so I've gone to the old glasses. Have we got the first question up, Shubs, please? Thank you very much. Yaswant Chakravarti. How are you going, Yaswant? Is AB better player than Rowett in IPL cricket? It depends what role you're going to have both of them play. AB de Villiers in the back end is absolutely dynamite and is probably better than Rowett Sharma in that particular role. But up front, opening the batting, I still think Rowett Sharma would be better in that particular role. Through the middle overs, they both have their issues against spin, but AB de Villiers is probably a little bit more proactive in that particular period than Rohit Sharma. So Look, I think it's quite even, but Rowett Sharma and AB de Villiers have different roles for their team. AB de Villiers is there to finish off the innings, be there at the end, because that's where he's most destructive. Rowett Sharma is there to control the innings for the Mumbai Indians and India throughout the whole innings. So they have different roles, and if they both played in the same team, they'd complement each other, and they'd be just as good a force or even a better force because they've for the Mumbai Indians. If AB was in the Mumbai Indians, it would be a better force because they've got better batting depth. The Royal Challengers Bangalore, get it right, Hoggy, don't have that depth in their batting. So, yeah, it's a good question. Even. I'm actually going to go Rowett Sharma. He's got a better record in international cricket. Aditya Nasal, how are you going? Or Nasali. Can Mumbai Indians go with Nisham instead of Lynn, as he will give some overs as well? Aditya, that is a very, very good point. Gives you extra bowling depth down there at Chennai. Nisham with his cutters. Might give Rohit Sharma more options, better depth hitting at the end. I'd like to go with that, but you've got too many all-rounders in the Mumbai Indians lineup. You need that power hitter out the top, someone to be aggressive. I'd go with Lynn opening the batting against, hopefully, the pace attack of RCB if they start with pace. I think Lynn can really capitalise in those first 6 overs and take the pressure in those middle overs against the spinners. Good point there, Aditya. I can't challenge it, but I'd still go with Lynn over Nisham just because of the amount of all-rounders Mumbai Indians have already got in their team. Good question. Next question, please, Shubs. All right, as you can see. Oh, Shaswat Jar, how are you going? Thank you very much for your little donation. He goes up the top of the list with the donation with the questions. That's why we get the green list there. Hi from Bihar. How you going? Do you think or do you have a feeling that it does not matter how much RCB is strong every year? End of tournament, they will lose. For me, I just think I totally agree with you here. I just think RCB have always invested too heavily on AB de Villiers and Veracoli in their batting, and they haven't picked the right bowlers out the end to complement Chahal. So you've got Chahal bowling a lot of death overs, which he shouldn't be doing. He should be controlling those middle overs. Where they lose a lot of impact, RCB, is that death over bowling. They don't have quality death overs, and that's what lets them down in those big moments. So I totally agree with you. RCB, although they're dominant throughout the season, when it comes to finals, those pressure games, they don't have the depth needed for those tough moments of the game at the end. Very good question there. Next question. I'm just going to bend down, get my glasses. Sorry about that. Sani Siraj Jamison, how are you going? This is Niraj Chowdhury that's asked this question. Sani Siraj Jamison, problem in death overs. It might be cause of trouble hog. That's where, as I've just said with the earlier question, that is where RCB have one of their weak links, the death overs and the power hitting at the end of the innings. And when they went to the auction this year, there weren't too many options to fill that void. So it's very tough for them to change their lineup. But with the international experience that Saini and Siraj have had over the last 6 months, they might go into this game with a lot more confidence. They might go into this season with a lot more confidence and deliver in those particular scenarios. But it's there to wait and see. Siraj is more of a test bowler, line and length. Does he have the Yorkers? Does he have those change of pace? That change of pace, that's the question mark for me. And the same with Saini as well. Very upright bowler. And Jamison with that fact as well. Can they execute Yorkers to full effect consistently? And what change-ups do they have? Because they don't really disguise their change-ups, these 3 bowlers, as well as the other quality bowlers that bowl in the death in the IPL. So that's where their downfall is. Good question there, Niraj. Can we get the next question up, please? Sazraram Ravi. Thanks very much for that little donation. And the green question mark comes straight up top. Can Sundar open the batting as he opened and performed in TNPL? Will it allow RCB focus bowling and address their past issues? Love from Melbourne. Sazriam Aravi, I hope all is well in Melbourne. So we've got followers of Melbourne, America, and India. Sunday opening the batting. I think Veracoli's got to open the batting and Padikal's got to open the batting as well. I can't see those two out of that role. You might be able to put Sundar up there at number 3 and just have someone with that aggressive that aggressive hitting power in that power play phase, and then protect the likes of AB de Villiers and Glenn Maxwell for those middle overs and later power hitting. And then you've got Christian coming in out the end as well. So I don't think you could open the batting, but put him up there to bat at number 3 might be a good option, and then you might be able to bring another bowler in as well. So good thinking there. You have AB de Villiers as the captain, and yes, he's done it in TMPL, but you got to remember the standard of TMPL is not quite the standard of IPL as well, because you've got a lot of international bowlers with the new ball that have got quality control with swing and pace that will put a little bit pressure on him, and that will expose a couple of weaknesses of Sundar. And yes, they need options so that they can have more bowlers to choose from to bowl in the death overs. So, yeah, I think it's worth a risk to have Sundar batting out number 3, not opening the batting because of Padikal. But good question there, Ravi. Okay, next question, please, Shubs. Tanmoy Chakrabarti, how you going, mate? Because of lack of all-rounders in lower middle order for RCB, are they obliged to play Dan Christian? Dan Christian has to play for RCB. They need that extra batting depth. And the other thing that Christian adds is quality fielder, but he can bowl some quality overs. And down there in Chennai, with his cutting deliveries, I think he'd be quite potent on that particular wicket. So you've got to have Dan Christian in here for this particular fixture, batting in those lower orders, and it gives you more power hitting as well in the death overs. And he does that role a lot in all the T20 tournaments around the world. So he's got to be playing in this game. Good question there, Tanmoy. Oh, Tanmoy, he's got another question up there. Okay. Are Surya Kumar Yadav and Kishan the main reasons Mumbai Indians can dominate middle order overs even if top order fails, and set the platform for Pollard, Pandya and Pandya? Yeah, that's Cronella and Hardik Pandya at the end there. Yes, the thing about these two particular players is especially Yadav. Yadav can be very inventive, but he gets the job done, as well as Kishan. They handle the pressure well, and that is why they've been picked for India in the shorter formats of the games, because they have proven success in IPL cricket under pressure, and they hold that platform. They set the platform up through those middle overs for the big hitters to come in at the end. But on this particular wicket down here at Chennai, Surya Kumar Yadav has had a lot of success. Kishan, not quite as much. So this is going to be a big step for Kishan. I'm going to be very interested to see how he plays on a turning wicket there in Chennai. And this particular game, the first game, is a big one for the Mumbai Indians, because it will give them confidence, because they don't play at home in Wankhede, where there's a bit of extra bounce and pace, where they have a lot of success. So they're going to have to slightly change up the way that they bat, and someone like Kishan is going to be challenged in this particular tournament. And that's what I want to see how this young fella develops through these tougher periods on tougher wickets. And I think he can do the job. I think he's going to do fantastic. But Surya Kumar Yadav, for me, for the Mumbai Indians, is going to be the standout. I think he'll be the MVP player of this particular tournament. I absolutely love him. And it's important that those two don't expose Pollard and the Pandya boys too early. The Pollard and the Pandya boys can't come in before the 12th over. Otherwise, Mumbai Indians, with their power game, get blown out of the water. Good question there, Tamoy. Okay, next question. Vasant P. Rahul Chahar versus Kohli. Who will win in the battle? Because Kohli has leg spin weakness. And so for AB and Maxi, how much is going to be Chahar's impact? Are those 24 balls a match decider? Actually, I'd play Chowler as well. I'd play both leg spinners as well as Cronel Pandya. I think a lot of these RCB players do struggle against leg spin, especially on the Chennai wicket. I think it's worth a go. And Rahul Chahar, Chahar, he's always got it over Veracoli. I just think he's got a good wrong. The other thing with Chahar is he's not one of the big names as well. So when he's bowling to someone like a Veracoli feels in the back of his mind that he should be taking control of the youngster. And sometimes that makes him play a more expansive shot than what he should do. And it happens to the best of players, and that's the weakness for Veracoli that Chahar's got to play on. Be patient with him, and don't bowl too many wrong-uns, because that's when the better players start to pick you up. Continue with your leggy and just bowl the wrong-uns sparingly. I think that's going to be a good matchup, and I think Mumbai Indians will play 2 leg spinners here instead of just the one. So there'll be 48 balls from leg spin here. Shashwat Jar, how are you going? Thanks for your donation. One more question, sir. Another one. Do you think the absence of Iyer will make the Delhi team not much powerful as Delhi was last year? I think Iyer was a fantastic captain. I think he's a great leader. And I think that part of his game is going to be missed. And his dominance against spin in those middle orders, in the middle over period, is a big issue as well, because him coming in and taking on the spin can take a bit of pressure off Rishbhat Pant, and that's going to be a fairly decisive equation for the Delhi Capitals this year. How can Pant control those middle overs now that Iyer's not there, because there's going to be a lot more pressure on him. So I think Iyer's absence is going to be a huge loss for Delhi, but I think they've got the depth to be able to cover it. So I'm very sad that Iyer's not there, because he's just starting to develop and become a quality T20 player. So he's going to be sorely missed by the Delhi Capitals. But I saw Ricky Ponting, the way that he addressed the team the other day. It was just sensational. It was brilliant. And the way that I saw the Delhi Capitals training, they looked switched on. They looked like a team that were disappointed that they finished second last year. They didn't win the final. And they're out to make big inroads to make sure they win their first IPL tournament this year. So don't be surprised. It's not going to be a huge loss. But it's just going to make things a little bit tougher in those middle overs. Good question there, Shashwat. Next question, please, Shubs. Kara Veda Dharma, how are you going? Last but not least, who will be the highest run scorer today? Let me have a quick look down the list. I think Surya Kumar Yadav. I'm on the bandwagon with Surya Kumar Yadav. I'm on his train. I'm in the front carriage. I love the way that he plays. I love his inventive strokes. And this is a spinning wicket, or more than likely a spinning wicket down in Chennai. And I think he's got the best tools out of all the batsmen down there in this particular game to really deliver and put the runs on the board. So good question there, Taravada. Okay. Have we got another question, or is that it? What have we got up on the back there? Well, that looks as though it's it for today. Thanks very much for joining me, guys. The IPL has just started. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Brad_Hogg. But this is a big game for RCB. They've got to get their tournament off to a good start. Otherwise, they could be feeling the pressure. Their death over bowling needs to stand up, and Dan Christian and Glenn Maxwell need to perform. If those things don't happen, Mumbai Indians are going to win this game quite comfortably. Have a good day. Let's enjoy the game tonight. Thanks very much, guys.